Hey folks, welcome back to my channel Relationship Haven. Before the video starts, please make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. If there is a story you would like to share with me, then please do not hesitate to contact me. Now, let's get into today's stories right now. It feels like my whole world is collapsing around me. I never thought I would find myself in this situation. But here I am. I, 42 male, have been dating my girlfriend, 40 female, for about a year and a half. In that time, we've had some rocky moments, but we've always managed to talk them out and come out stronger. Communication was always key, and I was led to believe that things were fine prior to the whole pandemic. We had made plans to finally move in together, and I was just waiting for my next paycheck to come, so I could finally put a deposit down on a place where the two of us could make a new home. This past Saturday, I went to visit her to make sure she was doing okay. She recently lost her job, and to make sure that she was stocked up on groceries for the next few weeks because I didn't know when we would see each other again. Well, I didn't expect the day to turn out the way it did. Early in the afternoon, she ended up having a medical emergency. It was an incredibly scary and traumatic moment. I called the police and they immediately came out, and we were en route to the hospital in the whirlwind. I managed to grab her phone thinking that I could call her parents to let them know what was going on. I got to the hospital and was told I would have to wait until she was stabilized. Alone in the waiting area, I opened her phone and searched for her parents' number. That's when I saw it: text messages, pictures and videos between her and her male friend. I don't know why, but I kept scrolling. A picture of a pregnancy test, explicit pictures, things I never would have imagined. They made exchanges referring to me, asking if I had left. I went back and looked at the other messages, dozens of them to dozens of different men. My heart sank. I was gutted. I am a decent enough person that I managed to stay at the hospital so I could see her. I went into the room where she was being held and saw her there asleep on the hospital bed, unaware of all that I knew. Eventually I looked at her and just broke down. I was so angry, hurt and upset. It was bad enough that we were at the hospital, but this was a double punch to the gut. They admitted her overnight because of the pandemic. No visitors were allowed upstairs, so I had to leave. That was the last time I saw her. The next day I called her on the phone. I told her everything I said. I knew about her and her friend. I said I knew about the others. I demanded answers. I got none. That was 5 days ago. And all week I have been walking around like a shell of the person I once was. I feel hurt and alone. I feel emasculated and betrayed. I have been talking with friends. I've been exercising. I've been doing everything I can to take my mind off of this. I actually felt a little better this afternoon, enough so that I actually could eat something. And then I got the text, "Miss you. I love you." And now I'm back to where I started. I didn't reply. I don't know where to go from here. I just needed to write this down somewhere and get it out because it just hurts so goddamn bad. How could someone who I had planned on spending the rest of my life with do these things? I keep looking back for signs, but I don't see any. Man, she got me good. I guess if there is any silver lining to this, it is that I found out about this now instead of after we moved in together. I just want the pain to stop. Update. Just wanted to give some quick updates to clarify what has happened since I posted this in the morning hours. First off, she is blocked on all social media and from my phone. However, I'm expecting to hear from her through other channels because this morning, I also contacted a P's wife with all of the screenshots, information and timelines that I had no response yet, but I can certify that it was delivered. Hopefully, I hear back. Thank you to everyone for your support and all the kind words. I have known from day one that this wasn't my fault. It wasn't the result of anything I had done, and that this is her problem. I am not going to analyze the relationship as much as I want to because frankly, I cannot trust anything she ever said or did. At this point, there is no chance of me falling for reconciliation because I'm firmly in the once a cheater, always a cheater camp. The proof is just too concrete. Also, I recently had an STI test and it was clear it's been over a month since she and I were last physical. She said she was going through some medical issues. But now I can see that is all BS. Thank God for this community. I will keep you updated as I hear more from the APS wife update too. I have to say a huge thank you to every single person who has commented. The outpouring of support and confirmation that I'm doing the right thing has helped me a lot today. I'm so glad I decided to share. It's definitely helped me feel a little better today. I know the days, weeks and months ahead will be hard. By ready. I'm still dealing with a lot of emotions, but what is it? They say time heals all wounds. I think that's a fair assessment. I just want to appreciate all the advice, support and love you've shown me today. I have not heard back from APS wife at all. I contacted her through Facebook Messenger and it looks as if the message has been seen. I also texted her, left a voicemail and sent an email to the only email address of hers that I could find. I don't know if AP is in freak-out mode and trying to lock her down, but I'm not going to give up hope. She needs to know what her husband was up to. I haven't had any additional blowback and my ex has not tried to reach out to me or anyone I know at this point. I'm on my way to recovery. OP. Don't waste any more of your life on her trying to push her away from your mind over the coming weeks. Some people are terrible and you never know it because they're so good at pretending to be something. They're not. Try to do things you enjoy, try to move on and know you didn't deserve to be treated like that. Don't be nice. Be free. Cut ties with her. Have a funeral for her in your mind and never speak to her again. She doesn't love you. She's just too afraid of rejection to show herself as the shallow, lying, attention-seeking animal she is now. Let's get into today's second story. We started dating in September 2018 on my birthday. So that day has always been extra special to me. My partner does roster work. She works 8 days on a mine site and is back 6 days off. I work a decent 9-to-5 job. So we are both pretty well off. She's also an international resident. So I decided to help her get her visa to stay. We applied for the de facto/spouse visa at the end of 2020 for the first 3.5 years. Our relationship was really good. We both loved each other and were doing so much together. Unfortunately, some clashes between her and my mom led to us moving out and renting a place for 6 months. She knew how to do everything. She's extremely independent, so she knew how to take care of a house and cooked really good food. I, on the other hand, was a bit of a doctor and didn't know how to do any of that properly. My mom looked after me a bit too much, which handicapped me a lot. When I moved out whilst I was working every day and being very smart with our money, we never had any money problems. I was also a bit selfish as a 23-year-old who tended to spend a bit too much time at the computer and away from household chores. I did make sure I spent some time with her though. We watched some good shows like Game of Thrones, Money, Heist and Merlin. I did, however, clean enough to ensure we got 100% of our bond money back. I did all the weeding by hand. After our 6-month lease was finally up, we bought a place together. This was around September 2021. She started her mining job around December 2021 and I, still being a doctor, didn't do much of the housework, although I did learn to cook some dishes as I needed to make sure I kept myself fed while she was on site. But I still didn't do the laundry or vacuum and mop the floor because my standard of cleanliness was so much different from hers. Instead, I spent my time learning how to invest because she told me she wanted to make a lot of money. I designed an investment plan just to suit her. I enjoyed investing a lot. Cleaning, not so much. Come April 2022, she broke down in her bedroom at my lack of help around the house. She told me she was incredibly stressed with having to come back and do all the housework. After 8 long days on the mine site. At that stage, I finally woke up and became the adult I should have become long ago. I started vacuuming and mopping the whole house once a fortnight and doing the laundry every week, making sure she had an empty basket to work with. When she came back, it was like a switch was flicked on in my head. I should also mention that sex was non-existent in the last year of our relationship. She didn't want to take the pill due to side effects, although she was on it periodically for the first 3 years and we had sex. Then I went to buy a pack of condoms, but then she went and hid the condoms when we were about to have sex. So I just refused to have sex with her because I didn't want to have unprotected sex and risk pregnancy. She even suggested that I take the male version of the pill that would make my sperm infertile or something. I don't even know what she was on about there. I kept up my routine, making my own lunches and maintaining the house while she was away. I finally became an adult that could survive on my own. But the relationship didn't seem to improve slowly over time. She stopped cooking for me and didn't like me touching her in bed. She also gave me her cheek for kisses instead of her lips looking back. These were all red flags, but I was blinded by love and my desperation to save the relationship. I kept up with the cleaning and maintenance. She even went back on the pill to balance her hormones, or so she claimed. I tried initiating sex with her again at that point, but she refused and then came September 17, 2022. I was mopping the floor in my computer room and couldn't use it because the floor was wet. I went to use her laptop instead and saw everything in Messenger. She had been in a casual but intimate relationship with a man on the Mine site a little younger than me. The text messages were extremely explicit. I saw they had this going on since late July. I couldn't go any further back because I was about to throw up. I confronted her about it that night and she told me she had been extremely stressed with work and had fallen out of love. I didn't understand she loved me when I was a total doctor, then all of a sudden I became this mature and capable adult, but she didn't love me anymore. I was a total wreck for the next week and couldn't sleep. Well, I decided to call things off with her. I cannot be with someone who commits infidelity. We are going to split up our assets and go our separate ways. She told me she wants to remain friends, but I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. Nor do I think that's a good idea for either of us. This also has implications for her visa. She is currently on her temporary visa until the end of November this year. At which point we were supposed to sign off on some documents so she could get her permanent residency. I told her I refused to sign any documentation as I basically would have to lie, which could get me sent to jail along with a big fine. She may still be able to get her permanent residency if the department decides to award it to her. But she is at a much greater risk of having to go back to a student visa, which means she will lose her mining job along with her life savings of having to enroll in some course she doesn't want to complete and pay international student fees, which are bloody expensive, along with wasting years of her life just to progress her spouse visa, all for nothing. Despite the harm she has inflicted on me, I hope she gets her permanent residency. It doesn't affect me either way whether she gets it or not. But at this stage one have no influence over it because I have already withdrawn as sponsor. I cried multiple times in front of multiple people. I cried because the vision I had of us being together with our many successes around us is now impossible. I cried because I was forced to make decisions that would either harm myself while benefiting her or harm her while benefiting myself. I cried as I entered the empty and dark house after work was done, knowing that she was living with her friends and I was alone. I will be moving back to my parents in a few months. It makes no economic sense to stay out here on my own without a partner. This was an exit affair. By the time she began crying to you about your lack of effort, she had already checked out. She unfortunately chose the most immature way to do it. At least you can use this as your own learning experience and personal growth. You didn't deserve to be cheated on. She could have been honest at any time. It would be best if you get to no contact as quickly as possible. Be sad about her versus Issa situation, but don't legally risk yourself. She knew the situation and its implications. That's on her. Her actions have consequences and she is finally feeling them. You need to look out for yourself first and foremost and absolutely don't be her friend. You can't be friends with someone who traumatizes you in such a despicable way. Don't kick yourself too much. You were 20 years old when you entered into this relationship. You showed a great deal of maturity when you changed your behavior to help your partner in the relationship. Regardless, you have dodged a bullet and you will be better off without her. A young man who is capable of living on his own and who can cook and clean is a huge plus in the dating field. Enjoy being single. Thanks for taking the time to listen to today's story. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already and comment below on what your thoughts are on today's story.